Hello everyone, you're watching Left, Right and Centre and I'm Maria Shakil. Maldives make for a picture-perfect vacation. But this tiny island nation is now turning into a diplomatic and strategic concern for India. The new president, Mohamed Muizzu, who is overtly pro-China, has asked India to withdraw its soldiers from the island during a meeting with Union Minister Kiren Rijiju. The president formally requested New Delhi to withdraw its military personnel. Indian government sources have said that the two sides have agreed to discuss workable solutions to continue the use of Indian military platforms by the island nation as they serve the interests of its people. So what is the power play here and what is the Chinese role in the Maldives heart stand? My colleague Vedant explains the story.
Well, Maldives has asked India to withdraw its military presence from the island. There's much to unpack. What does it really mean? Well, it's part of the newly elected president's India out policy. Well, the president has asked India to withdraw its presence, and this was one of his key poll promises in his electoral campaign as well. But what's also important to mention here is that there are just 70 Indian military personnel in Maldives and several warships as well that have been deployed in the island. Now, what is India saying? Well, sources have told us that during a call with Rijiju, President Muizzu of Maldives had acknowledged India's contribution as far as its military presence in Maldives is concerned. He had said that it's something that's important to the island as well. Sources also say that the governments are also working out workable solutions for continued cooperation. In fact, sources say that India and Maldives are discussing continued use of rescue aircraft. In fact, the Maldivian president had said that had there been any other country's troops, he would have done the same. So it's not something that's specific to India is what Maldives' stand seems to be. But what is behind this India out policy? For that we need to understand who is Mohamed Muizzu, the newly elected president of Maldives. Well, his pro-China credentials are out in the open for everyone to see. In fact, he fought his poll campaign, as I said, on the India out policy, and he had promised the removal of Indian troops from Maldives before assuming office itself. Now, he was the ex-housing minister. He's also a member of People's National Congress. And in fact, he was part of the coalition that actually supports Chinese loans and projects in Maldives as well. In fact, Muizzu himself supports China's debt policy and BRI, or Belt and Road Initiatives. He's also seen as a close proxy of Maldives' pro-China ex-president Yamin. In fact, he's his mentor as well. And he, Yamin, actually built the India Out campaign, which Muizzu took over. Now, what are the larger ramifications of a pro-China president in India's backyard? Why is Maldives strategically important for India? Well, Maldives is less than 70 nautical miles from Lakshadweep, so of course it's in close proximity. Then commercial vessels actually ply the Indian Ocean via the sea lanes near Maldives, which is why it's so important to India. Now, the pro-China president is also a threat to India's military presence in Maldives, something that India has invested in the past couple of years particularly. Now, China also sends naval vessels to Maldives in the guise of anti-piracy operations. So India's military presence there in Maldives could actually counter that as well. In fact, the India out government in Maldives, or this pro-Chinese government, could also be a breeding ground for Islamist terrorism. This is something that experts have pointed out as well, because Islamic radicalization, remember, grew significantly under the erstwhile pro-China government back in 2016 as well. It's also a boost to China's free trade agreement in Maldives, because it had hit several roadblocks, but this will now in a sense bolster that as well. Now, India has a large diaspora presence in Maldives as well. Over 25,000 Indian nationals lives in Maldives. So India's stake in Maldives in a sense balances out China, which is why its military presence there was important. Now, the erstwhile pro-India government, I beg your pardon, actually shelved China's road projects in Maldives, which in a sense was good for India. Why is it good for India? Because across the Indo-Pacific, now we have to look at the map as well here, China's footprint has been rising in the past decade, so to speak, because we're talking about a pro-China government in Maldives. We're also talking about China's debt diplomacy in Sri Lanka. And in Pakistan, of course, China has been pushing for its Belt and Road Initiative. So these three countries in India's backyard, in India's neighborhood, are witnessing an increased China presence. So, well, India perhaps should be cautious, but as sources tell us, India is looking at workable solutions.
Ilyas Labib is Member of Parliament of Maldives. We have Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia, former head of division in MEA, someone who handled Maldives, and Dr. R.K. Radhakrishnan is a senior journalist. I'm going to begin with you, Member of Parliament Labib. India has invested heavily in terms to aid Maldives and military support. We have a huge diaspora presence as well. And all the aid has certainly benefited the country and its people. Then why should the new president oppose it?
Thank you very much. I think Maldives always look which is benefit to the Maldives and the Indian Ocean. Of course, there is a rhetoric that came before the election that the India out campaign. By that time, the opposition team was campaigning India out. They were saying that Indian military presence is there in the Maldives, and now they are in the power. And now the current president, Dr. Muizzu, he says 77 Indian military people are in the Maldives. Mainly, they are working the rescue operation aircraft. Is a two Donia aircraft and 2 helicopters and some Coast Guard ships. But mainly, they operate the helicopters and Donia aircrafts. So only 77 Indian military people are here. But I think the important thing is we have to look the stability of Indian Ocean. Maldives is a very small country next to India. And we sit in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And it's our interest to protect our country and have a good relationship with our neighbors. India is one of the largest democracy in the world, and India is always helpful to Maldives from the beginning of Maldives. We have always relied on India for any instance, like the incidents we had in November 3, 1988, and the water crisis, and during the tsunami time. As if we look at the history in any natural disaster or any other incident we face, India is always there next to us to help us. So we always rely on
Mr.
India.
Labib, my question is that does this, pro-China tilt not really threaten regional security in the Indian Ocean? Because we have seen what has happened with regards to Sri Lanka. The debt diplomacy of China is very well known.
It's too early to say that the country is tilted to pro-China. Yes, the current government has a very good relationship with China, but we have to see, because it's now 3 days that they have taken over the government, and we can't say that there will be moving everything changing to pro-China. But we have very good relationship with India. But a lot of Maldivians also believe that it is good to have a good relationship with India and China as well. So not to have a good relationship with one country. So if we have a very good relationship with the countries, with the superpowers, is good to Maldives. So if we totally move to one side, it is not healthy to the Maldives. I think the Maldivians believe that we have to look into our country and the stability of Indian Ocean. If the Indian Ocean destabilizes, it will affect the Maldives. So we have to be very careful with our foreign policy, and when we have a good relationship with other countries, especially the neighboring countries.
Ambassador Bhatia, should New Delhi be concerned about these developments, and how serious is the development of Maldives asking India to withdraw military presence?
Thank you very much. I think there is concern, undoubtedly, but how serious it is something that is being studied and worked out. And it is in this context I would like to make 2 or 3 crisp points.
Yes.
India, is not happy when a neighboring country gets a military government. But here in Maldives, it is the play of democracy. So the new president who has taken over is because of the outcome of the elections which took place. Therefore, first of all, we have to respect, as a matter of principle, the choice of the people. Then my second point is that I think it's too hasty to describe the new president as pro-China and a proxy for China, as I'm afraid your correspondent has just done. I think we should show a little bit more respect. I think Indian authorities are adopting an attitude of firmness, but also flexibility and patience, and certainly respect for the new president. Let us not forget that he is an engineer. He was trained in the UK, and he is now transforming himself. Already he has transformed himself from mayor of Male to the president of Maldives. So what is now happening, and this is my third point, is not a surprise. He has been of this particular view for a long time. And as soon as he took over as the president, he's asking to assert the independence of Maldives on this question. Clearly, what is going to happen is that there are going to be official talks either in Malé or most likely in Delhi. And in those talks, I think the hard reality of security and defense and strategy are bound to be explained and conveyed to the government of Maldives. On the one hand, India, as the previous speaker was saying, has invested very heavily in order to protect and promote the interests of the people of Maldives, on the advice and with the consent of the previous government. On the other hand, all those projects have to continue, and I'm sure the new government would like them to continue. And therefore, at the end of the day, and this is my last point, Maria, there has to be a mutuality of interest. There has to be a balance of each other's point of view and accommodation. Yes. So I suggest we react to this with the maturity that a large country such as India always displays while dealing with its neighbors.
Ambassador Bhatia, I really certainly agree with you on those lines that here is a democratic government which has come in our neighborhood. So before jumping to conclusions, whether they have a pro-China tilt or otherwise, there should be a great degree of caution. Dr. Radhakrishnan, how are you looking at the current developments? You know, because what is being said is Pakistan, Sri Lanka and now Maldives, China clearly is spreading its influence.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. In fact, I'd written about it in my article in Frontline also, that one more country has slipped out of the Indian orbit. And I would definitely agree with what Elias had mentioned, and of course with Ambassador Rajiv. And I would go a step further to say that the Indian policy has already been laid out when Kiren Rijiju was sent to Maldives as the Indian representative for the inauguration of Mohamed Muizzu. Now, why I say that is because, obviously we were trying to, tell the Chinese, who have a significant presence in Maldives already, that, Kiren Rijiju, despite the fact that he comes from Arunachal Pradesh, and is not acceptable in Beijing, he will be in a place, in an Indian region of influence. I think we have already set the tone of what is going to come. So sending Kiren Rijiju definitely has set out the Indian policy, if you ask me. That is number one. Number two, on Muizzu itself, I would tend to agree with Ambassador Rajiv, in the sense that, he is evolved as a person. Now, the problem with Muizzu is that he does not come from the PPM itself. That is the party which holds, which is going to hold the entire parliament, is going to have the majority in the next elections. And of course, is the major partner in the government. It is going to be a difficult tightrope walk, and PPM is in the hands of China. And that is where all of Muizzu's problems and all of Muizzu's skills will be put to test. I'm sure he has managed to get a ticket. I mean, you remember he was a member of the PPM, the main opposition party, moved over to PNC to get the nomination for president, and then reluctantly was adopted as the PPM candidate, and he has won the election. So he knows how to maneuver around these issues. And India is a reality. I think what we have made it very clear is that there will be no question of removing everything from Maldives. I'm not just mentioning the personnel, but there are lots more infrastructure in Maldives. I don't think India is very keen on removing any of those. That is the message that we sent out when India sent Kiren Rijiju to for the inauguration in the first place.
Okay, Ambassador Bhatia. So while India should wait and watch, how the new president, the new presidency takes shape. But in terms of immediate demand that has come in from the new president that you should withdraw all the military presence, how should that be read?
Thank you, Maria, for asking that question. I think based on one's experience, one can clearly see that this dialogue is going to run on two planes. First of all, the formal plane. And as I said, I'm hoping that there will be soon perhaps an announcement of bilateral discussions on this sensitive subject, which will involve the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of External Affairs on both sides. And that formal dialogue can take place here or in Malé very soon. On the other hand, I think communication at the informal channel probably may have already started. I think, until now, we didn't know who are the main advisors and ministers and the members of the cabinet, etc. In Maldives, now it is clear. And therefore, I have no doubt, both through the diplomatic channels of our High Commissioner there and their High Commissioner here, and through other channels as well, I'm sure an informal dialogue probably would be already underway. And therefore, I think what we can do, those of us who now sit outside the government and media in particular, I think what we can do to help the process, which is a delicate, fragile process, is to convey that, India approaches this from the position of strength and, a desire to help Maldives and its people. I think that is the central point.
Okay.
Certainly, security is an overarching concern for everyone, not just India, but other neighbors as well. And keeping in mind that there is a geopolitical contestation already going on in the wider region of the Indo-Pacific between the US and China, and in South Asia between India and China, we will have to proceed with caution. We will have to make sure that in the process, our relations with Maldives get stronger rather than weaker.
Okay. Final words to you, Mr. Labib. Is the decision of the president, is that being seen with some kind of disagreement in certain sections, or are most MPs in agreement with the president of what he has said in the context of India?
Thank you. Not with most of the MPs, but his party campaigned, India Out campaign, during the last election. So most of the people, we believe that the Indian military should not be in the country. But now they are clear that we don't have that much of military in the Maldives. Only 77 of them are here, not as a military purpose.
Okay.
But there is one Coast Guard ship repair yard in the process of building, that they claim that there are Indian military presence in there, but now they say they don't have any Indian military presence in there.
All right.
What I see is it comes, as Ambassador said, in the official channel, Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Foreign Affairs will negotiate with the Indian government, and both the countries will be talking to each other.
Thank you so much.
One more point.
Ilyas Labib.
India is financially...
Appreciate your time, Ambassador Bhatia and Dr. R.K. Radhakrishnan.